Hi everyone, I'm Ken from Crypto Trading KS. If you're new, welcome, and welcome back to our regular community. If you're new to the channel, everything I do for you is free. Let's run the numbers. Bitcoin currently trading at 39,048, up 4.67%. Ethereum currently trading at 2284, up 2.33%. My goal is to assist you to be more of a financial blessing to yourself and those you love. Rule 138, all investors become traders whenever they buy or sell. Most investors don't mind where they actually invest. They can typically get pulled in through advertising. That means they may actually buy at the top. They may feel that they've done the wrong thing and they may sell at the bottom. That's why it's so important to know how to trade. Twice a day, 7 days a week, I share my experience as a full-time crypto trader. Rule 174, the T-cube method, trend, timing, and trigger. We're going to look at trend now. Through the KS process, which determines the true trend. Investor attractiveness is really important to understanding a trend. We can see the S&P 500 has performed very well. Gold has performed well. Bitcoin has done pretty well as well. In a low interest rate environment, people are being attracted to crypto. To understand the cycle of crypto, we use the KS model. KS model is a crypto technical trading model based on institutional price psychology. This model is halving driven and divides each halving into 3 separate states. Bull market psychology, which is daylight, bear market psychology, which is nighttime, and consolidation, which could be looked at as dawn. We always compare the same psychologies. That way we create mathematically consistent comparisons. Looking at Bitcoin realized cap hodl waves, we can see in past cycles there were 1, 2, 3 hodl waves. 1, 2, 3. We're at 1. We expect 2 and 3. I've hidden crypto gems throughout this video. Unless you watch to the end, you'll miss them. See how many you can find. This is another hidden gem. Bitcoin's price is driven by euphoria and capitulation. Capitulation is negative euphoria. It's really important to understand euphoria creates blow-off tops and blow-off bottoms. That is what we're looking for in the current cycle. We haven't seen that yet. I'd like to say thank you to our moderators for keeping the community safe from scammers. When we look at Bitcoin number of transactions to exchanges, all exchanges, transfers, we can see that the transfers always increase when we're peaking out. They're quite low at the moment. Looking at the Bitcoin stable coin supply ratio, SSR oscillator, we can see stable coins are being deployed into Bitcoin. This always puts upward price pressure on Bitcoin. As we get towards the top, the number of transactions per second increases because it's a blow off top. More and more people are being called in at higher and higher prices, which creates more and more transactions. At the moment, we're really low on transaction count. This is not indicative of a blow off top. Bitcoin has many properties that are generally misunderstood. This is another crypto gem. Bitcoin is halving cycle driven, at least for the time being. It's an exponential asset class. It is not linear. It is not a stock. You can't buy milk with your Microsoft stock. It has a fixed supply of 21 million. It's deflationary. It increases in value over time, unlike central government fiat money, which is inflationary. Bitcoin is decentralized. It bypasses the financial system. It can bank people without bank accounts. The most important thing to understand, it is the foundation of the Internet of Money. Bitcoin allows trustless commerce, smart contracts, and the alts built out on the Bitcoin ecosystem. It's a global medium of exchange. It can bypass currencies. It's a global store of value. It permits low-cost global transactions. It is the apex exponential asset class and the foundation of the Internet of Value. In another way, you can say that the crypto revolution, Bitcoin's adoption, is really the next upgrade of the internet. If we look at a technological adoption curve and see the global number of internet users in this wide line between 92 and 2006, in terms of adoption, Bitcoin and crypto is growing far, far more quickly. We know that the internet created so much value. The upgrade to the internet, which is through Bitcoin and cryptos, is going to change the world. When you read the news, it's often that you will see Bitcoin mentioned as well as gold, as well as the S&P 500 and other global stock markets throughout the world, and also economic data. Because of that, we need to look at Rule 193, check the stock markets. Economic policies are quite dependent on where an economy is in the global business cycle. If they're in early stage recovery, that means that there's more likely to be positive or accommodative monetary stances. The largest economy in the world, the United States, is in early stage recovery. Our channel is setting up an early warning signal for any potential black swans. Therefore, we look at COVID because COVID is increasing globally as a problem. Throughout the world, in the last 7 days, there were 3,701,725 cases. This is an increase of 1%. If we look at populations around the world, the weekly case percentage change is the thing that we want to keep our eye on. We want these percentages to come down. We can see China has had an increase. The US had an increase, quite a significant increase. Indonesia, decrease. Nigeria, increase. This is by population. This gives us a kind of an overview of what is happening. From a total perspective, there's been 195,126,326 cases, resulting in nearly 4.2 million deaths. 3.917 billion doses of vaccine have been administered. Now we're going to focus on the US market. We do that because the US market is around 56% of global stock market value. We're going to go through economic data such as the CPI, inflation, GDP, to understand what is actually happening. We can see here that the CPI is increasing. The real M2 money stock has been increasing. We're seeing a little reduction in that just now. The federal funds rate has basically fallen off a cliff and is hovering around 0.08. Since the US liquidity crisis and the COVID impacts, GDP took a quite substantial hit. It has now recovered. Gross federal debt is increasing. Federal debt, total public debt, is increasing as well. Total public debt as a percentage of GDP is decreasing. Since COVID, there was a large spike in the unemployment rate. We can see that the unemployment rate is decreasing. We've had a slight uptick. We're covering this data because the Fed meeting kicks off today. We need to understand independently what they may be looking at. Employment levels are really critical for governments. The employment level since COVID took a hit. It's been recovering. There's still a gap in here. It would be anticipated that the government would seek to fill this gap through stimulus, low interest rates, and accommodative fiscal policy. We can see the population ratio, employment population ratio, 25 to 54 years of age, is below the pre-COVID level. Total non-farm private payroll employment has a long way to go to reach recovery. The employment population ratio also needs to recover. The 10-year break-even inflation rate is increasing. I've put the price of Bitcoin here in gold on the background so you can see the association between Bitcoin and what we're measuring. We're not saying one causes the other, we're just saying it is associated. The 5-year break-even inflation rate is also increasing. The 5-year forward inflation expectation rate has broken over that resistance and is increasing. The Federal Reserve is saying that inflation is temporary. We need to look at the charts to see if that will be the case going forward. The interest rate on the 10-year Treasury note is currently under resistance. We can see the price of Bitcoin. Just notice the association. This system is really an early warning system for the financial markets, of which Bitcoin is a part of that financial market. The high yield corporate bond ETF, we can see, is being supported currently. The 20+ year Treasury bond ETF, we can see it broke over resistance. It's finding support at this level and increasing. The 10-year Treasury note yield was at support, and that's now turned into resistance. The 30-year Treasury bond yield is also decreasing. It's kind of just below resistance now. The VIX is the S&P 500 index for fear. We can see fear has been increasing. It came up 10.13% last night. Let's have a look at the NASDAQ 100. We can see this really strong level of support. There's been a bit of weakness here. That's probably due to the Chinese stock market sell-off. We'll look into that a bit later. 3M, GE, and Tesla all reported stronger than expected earnings. Let's have a look at the S&P 500. We can see it's holding support very well. The Russell 2000 is under resistance. The Dow Jones is under resistance. The Shanghai Composite Index has seen a very dramatic sell-off just in the past 12 hours. This is led by the Chinese Communist Party government's crackdown on education, healthcare, technology, real estate. A few areas of the market have been, such as education. Education is now not for profit, and any for-profit education is deemed to be illegal. There are significant crackdowns occurring within the technology sector as well. WeChat has been prohibited to take on any new users. Tencent has been forced to stop licensing music with major record labels globally. It's really important to understand the Chinese Communist Party, those in charge of the government in China, have absolute power. It's not a democracy. They can basically say exactly what happens inside that country. That is their system of government. A lot of people think that the Chinese government is just like the US government. It is not. China has a one-party state under the leadership of the Chinese Communist Party. There's no for and against. There's no Democrats, Republicans. There's no Labor or Liberal. There is just one party, and that one party has absolute rule. So when the Chinese government wants to stop something, it stops something. It's really that simple. We can see the Hang Seng Technology Index has sharply fallen off a cliff. It's important to understand how interconnected global markets are. Let's look at the United Kingdom, the FTSE 100. We can see that is below that support. Korea's Kospi 200 has done quite well. It's above this support. India's Sensex is currently under resistance. We're keeping our eye on this particular trend line. Japan's Nikkei 225 index is holding up reasonably well, just hovering around this support, but you can see it's in a downtrend. The DAX 30, Germany's stock market index, is just hovering around that resistance line. France's stock market, the CAC 40, is over resistance, now turning that to support. Italy's stock market is just basically turning this resistance into support. Singapore's STI is in a downtrend at this support level. The Australian stock market index, the ASX, is above this once resistance turned to support. It's doing quite well. One hidden gem is to understand that everything is related to everything. It's kind of like a domino impact. We need to see what dominoes are falling, and they don't always fall, they also rise. We're just doing an early warning system across the globe. There are some really big stocks that tend to move the market. They are the FANG stocks. Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, and there are a couple of more very important stocks. Let's have a look at Facebook. We can see it's been doing very, very well. Support is holding. Amazon just retesting support at the moment. We know that all price moves in a wave. It's always coming up, then down, up, then down, and of course up. And what's going to happen next? It will go down. When it goes down, it will just be normal price behavior, but the media will make a field day out of it. Amazon, we've seen a bit of a sell-off here, but it's still above that support. Netflix, which is very much a stay-at-home stock, is under resistance. Google saw quite a sharp sell-off back to support. Microsoft the same, but it's holding a very strong level of support here. Nvidia is still above this support, but we can see some degree of weakness in this stock. Square has 8,027 Bitcoin. We saw it being impacted with the stock market. This is another thing. Dominoes impact each other from the main level downwards. Square is still holding this support level. Tesla, with 42,902 Bitcoins, is currently testing that resistance. It backed off and is finding support immediately below. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin, there are 1.474 million Bitcoin held across ETFs, countries, public companies, and private companies. We've recently seen an increase in private company Bitcoin holdings and a decrease in some of the ETFs. Bitcoin has been on a bit of a tear lately, just increasing. There's a lot of green days. Everybody knows in our community that we say price is always moving in a wave. It's going up and then down, up and then down, up and then down. It's just normal price behavior. Total crypto market cap is $1.505 trillion. It's just getting above this resistance now. The Grayscale Bitcoin Trust holds 654,600 Bitcoin. It's doing quite well. As Bitcoin rises, increases in value, all the Bitcoin related ETFs, trusts, and stocks will follow suit. It's really important to know the overall trend of Bitcoin. QBTC, the Bitcoin Fund of Canada, has done very well. It's above support. CoinShares physical Bitcoin holds 48,466 Bitcoin. It's done extremely well. Look at it jump up here to this level of important resistance. It's seeking to turn that to support. Purpose Bitcoin ETF has done rather well. It currently holds 22,411 Bitcoin. ARK Innovation ETF is below resistance. ARK Next Generation Internet ETF is above support. The crypto stocks were on a tear yesterday, but as we all know, price moves in a wave. Bitcoin Group has 3,947 Bitcoin. It did very well yesterday. It's still in an uptrend, just seeking to consolidate around this resistance and turn it to support. Voyager Digital is underneath this resistance line. Hive Blockchain Technologies is riding up on that support line. Bitfarms has done very well. It's getting up to this resistance and seeking to get above that and turn it into support. A bit of a secret gem is to understand grouping. You will notice some of these charts have similar patterns. It's good to group those together. Try to find a leader and then track it. Let's have a look at Argo blockchain. Argo is riding up on that support line. Coinbase Global holds 4,482 Bitcoin. It's on this support line coming up, and it's also crossed across this resistance. This cradle looks quite good. Galaxy Digital holds 16,400 Bitcoin. It's above this support and this support in a bit of a cradle. It's looking quite good. Marathon Digital Holdings, MARA, is still underneath this resistance, but is finding support below. Riot Blockchain is below this resistance, coming up on support. MicroStrategy holds 105,085 Bitcoin. It's underneath this resistance and above this support. Silvergate Capital Corporation is above this particular support. BitDigital was recommended by a community member. It's quite a small player, but it's always good to look at these things. You can see here that this resistance has been passed, very big uptake in price and a retracement, quite normal. If the Delta strain becomes a problem, we're going to see it in the airlines and transportation sectors. They're an early warning device for us. We can see the ARCA airline index is currently at support. It's over this resistance. It's looking quite healthy. We can see the transportation ETF got above this resistance, turned it to support, has a long-term support line under here. Price is currently below. Utilities, predominantly defensive by nature, has been seeking to attack this resistance line for quite a few days. It's been rejected. Now it's actually passed. We keep our eye on these things. Gold is a highly defensive asset and a flight to safety asset. When things go wrong inside the economy, gold is a source of security. We can see this resistance line has played out and is forcing the price down. Basically, price has not been able to breach this resistance line just yet. Silver was acting quite strongly above this resistance line for quite a while. We've seen it break down recently, and it's now starting to break down again. Copper can give us an understanding of risk-on activity. We're seeing some weakness in copper under here, but a recovery above that support line. Looking at lumber, lumber has been under resistance for quite some time. Price is trying to get above that resistance now. China is a major supplier and consumer of coal. We can see coal sought to override this particular resistance, turn it to support, but has failed. We're just going to do a little bit of time travel with Brent oil. This is a bit of a secret. Here we look at Brent oil before the COVID crash. What happened? It started to break through that support and then came down into this channel, tried to get back up to that resistance, couldn't do it, and then it broke down. Notice what's happening to Bitcoin's price when all this is occurring. It's going up and up and up. When oil finally broke down, and also the whole world broke down with it. It's really important to understand these interplays. It's not like oil caused the world to melt down. It was the US liquidity crisis and also COVID and all the shutdowns. This is why we look at oil, especially in relationship to Bitcoin. We can see that long-term trend line holding quite well. It's gaining support. We'll just keep our eye on this, and we'll draw another line in here to capture any weakness in the price movement. So far, no cause for concern, but we always have to be wary. If there gets to be a lot of risk in the market, sometimes it's best to just take some profit and sit on some cash. If we look at light crude oil, do a bit of time travel back to before the crisis, we see this particular support was being held, but then price weakened. Notice what happened to Bitcoin. It was coming up. Really, really interesting. When COVID hit, note Bitcoin took a dive. Light crude was less of a dive, and then it actually went into negative territory. This was an amazing time to be alive, to watch what happened there. Very, very incredible. But you notice how Bitcoin increased before light crude increased. These are just associations that we want to keep our eye on. So let's see how light crude is doing. Light crude recently broke through its support and a secondary level of support. It's come back up and is seeking to turn this resistance into support. It looks a little weak. Let's have a look at the DXY, the US dollar currency index. We can see as the dollar came up, Bitcoin also came up. As the dollar came down, Bitcoin came down. Now the dollar is going up. It's hitting resistance and Bitcoin is recovering. We'll just keep our eye on this. The dollar is just under its resistance here, but it broke through a stronger level of resistance back here. It is in an uptrend. We've seen across the stock markets and Bitcoin, we can see that there's a little bit of problem with the Chinese sell-off. That is cause for concern. That was reflected in the global indices and also across crypto-related stocks. We're really just mindful of things at the moment. I don't believe it is a cause for concern, but we'll be watching this twice per day, doing special episodes like this so we keep you in front of everything. Also, the Fed meeting could throw a spanner in the works. We need to really keep on top of things right now. So let's look at Rule 122 and zoom in and look at the KS method for timing. The timing method always begins with an analysis of the news from a point of view that a person looking at this has absolutely no idea about crypto at all. Crypto addiction soars. Wow, that sounds really negatively positive. Okay. Bitcoin short squeeze caused over $1 billion of liquidations. Wow, what's a liquidation? Bitcoin mining difficulty to increase. Oh no, difficulty is increasing. A dream of a US Bitcoin ETF is getting closer. Wow, a headline I can understand. When we look at mining difficulty, increasing is really good, but first time people to crypto wouldn't really know what that means. And the same goes with short squeezes. A short squeeze just allows price to increase, but it's not necessarily something that a lot of people would initially understand. County commissioners tell Brightridge CEO they feel misled. Oh, that's not good. Naughty. Bitcoin surges towards 40,000. That's fantastic. It's currently 39,238. Bitcoin more likely to move to 60,000 than to drop further. Wow, that's a headline. I better buy. Fireblocks custody company raises 310 million. Well, that's good. I searched Bitcoin. That must be Bitcoin related. Ethereum to outperform Bitcoin the rest of 21. Wow, I better buy Ethereum. And something really we can't read. Let's have a look at crypto total market cap. In its technical analysis, total crypto market cap is $1.509 trillion. It's doing really well. Look at this very strong level of support. We've got a high and a lower high, but it's certainly gaining some momentum. We'll just keep our eye on things. A gem is to always keep our eye on Bitcoin. Bitcoin rules the crypto market. We can see this very strong support line there. We can see a number of positive things. The B-Word conference where Elon, Jack and Kathy just had a chat was helpful. JP Morgan recommending Bitcoin and crypto to high net worth individual clients was good. The rumor about Amazon accepting Bitcoin by the end of 2021 was great. Then Amazon denied the rumor, and then the China tech meltdown was occurring during that time, and we have the Fed FOMC meeting to discuss inflation, and we've got a fairly overheated stock market and the Delta variant spread, and you know all these things because we've just gone through everything. We need to keep our eye on it, but just looking at price action alone, we can see that Bitcoin is doing really well. It's holding above that support. You will hear various economic commentators say that Bitcoin has no value at all. Over the past 90 days, Bitcoin has pulled in $213.9 million worth of revenue. If we look at Bitcoin, all exchanges, estimated leverage ratio, we can see the amount of leverage in the market was coming up. Now it's dropped off. Some suggest that it could be Binance lowering its leveraging ratios. That could be the case, and that is good. Less leverage in for non-professional players is always a good thing. But we just take note that it's decreasing. As you do your trading and investing, it's really like putting a jigsaw puzzle together. Let's have a look at Bitcoin futures. Bitcoin, we can see here there's a degree of long, some shorts. The largest exchanges are predominantly long. Let's have a look at Bitcoin options. Bitcoin options expiring at the end of the month. Max pain price with a majority of calls, they are long, and puts, put down, which is short. The majority of options expire worthless at the max pain price of 35,000. Let's have a look at Ethereum's technicals. Just from a broad view, we can see this up channel of support has become weakened. It's dropping down to this channel of support here. What I notice when I look at this particular chart is a high, a lower high, and a lower high. Just keep your eye on that. Just like Bitcoin, we see the leverage ratio for Ethereum dropping down. A lot of people also say, economic commentators, they say that things like Ethereum have no value. Total revenue for Ethereum over the past 90 days was $1.4 billion. Let's turn to Ethereum futures. We can see the majority of positions are actually short. That makes a lot of sense. If you look at the technicals of Ethereum, you can actually see that coming into play. Let's have a look at options on Ethereum. For options expiring at the end of the month, the max pain price is $2,200. It's been sitting there for a really long time. Liquidations over the past 24 hours were $305.41 million, occurring to 66,289 traders. Over the past 12 hours, about 58% of liquidations were short. We can see that we're not having really big spikes like up here, down here at the moment. We're having certainly some short spikes, but they're not really significant. Now, recently there has been shorting liquidations occurring, and that's driving the price up. Let's turn to psychological safety and liquidations. The fear and greed index has turned neutral for the first time in a long time. It's currently 50. It was yesterday, it was 26 fear. Good to see. But remember this. When people, investors, are called into the market because price is going up, liquidations occur. Extreme greed is a sign that you could be buying at the top. Always wait for this pullback. They always come. You can see here. It's really important to think like an institution. When you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 positive days, you would start to get worried if you were an institution, because 8 positive days in a row typically does not occur without a pullback. Pullbacks are where you want to dollar cost average in. The overarching trend of Bitcoin is very positive. It is the foundation for the internet of value. It's like owning all the FANG stocks right at the start. It's probably really worth noting that a week or so ago, people were saying that Bitcoin was going to 20,000, 15,000, or 10,000. What was happening there? They were putting pressure on investors to sell at the bottom. That's why it's so critical to know trading. We do a very comprehensive analysis across all aspects of crypto in these episodes. The top 7: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, Binance Coin, Cardano, XRP, and USDC. Let's have a look at the top 24-hour gainers. AXS, Anchor, OKB, IOTA, Flow, Luna, and BitTorrent. Let's go the other way. We can see stable coins, all stable coins for the losses. This means this is a bit of a hidden crypto gem. This means everything in the market is increasing. That is an early warning sign to book some profits if you're trading. If you're long-term holding, it's always different. Just seek to, if you can, free some funds for when the down movement comes. The largest 7-day percent gainers are Axie Infinity, TEL, OKB, AMP, Theta, Luna, and Anchor. The greatest percentage losses, Leo, and stable coins. This is also a warning sign to de-risk. As a trader, when I see this, I know the market is getting overheated. I'm looking for a pullback. You can do that as well when you think about dollar cost averaging. It really depends on your tax situation, but I feel it would be remiss if I didn't let you know of a particular way that you could look at the market. As part of our process, we look through Binance derivatives. 24-hour trading volume has been $75.4 billion. Open interest, $6.6 billion. We're always interested in the change in price of the contract in the past 24 hours. That gives us an indication of immediate strength of price moves. It's not a long-term indicator, it's just a very short-term indicator. Bitcoin is around 6%, Ethereum 4.5%. Bitcoin is moving more strongly than Ethereum, has more interest than Ethereum. We look down. Typically we're looking for double-digit percent gainers. Axie Infinity at 30.9%. If we look, IOTA 17.4, Theta at 10.8, CHR 21.1, Bell 10.7, BTT 12.5. This gives us an understanding as to what is moving inside the market. Storage 14.5, Anchor 27.1. We notice CVC going double-digit negative. It's always good to keep our eyes on this. What else is cooking? Alice up 59% and Lit up 19.8%. And the futures are basically positive as well. I'm just going to give a really quick run through on the top 10 and community favorites. We can see Binance Coin is going quite well. It's holding this support. Cardano, ADA, is holding support as well. XRP holding support. Dogecoin holding this support. Just keep your eye on this. What I see in this chart, a high, a lower high, a lower high, a lower high. Just keep your eyes on these things. Looking at Polkadot, it's upholding this support, a high, a lower high, and about the same high. This is showing strength to me. This is what I look at as a trader. Let's have a look at Chainlink. Chainlink holding support. Lot of fresh air here. A high, a lower high, but not much gap between that high and that lower high. Also equalization of the next high. This is looking really strong. We can always see the strength of a chart of a particular alt by just looking at its chart. If you've made it this far, you're an exceptional person because you're investing in your knowledge. You're not just throwing your money into the crypto market. You're really trying to understand what is going on. So I have a very, very special gem for you. The best piece of advice I could ever give anyone is to analyze as many charts as possible. Most people are only interested in what their particular alt is doing or stock is doing if you're in the stock market. The key is how many different charts do you look at? Are you just focused on one, or are you focused on many? I would love to know in the comments. You could say one. If you focused on just your alts, you just call that one. If you like to look more broadly, you could just call that many. Either one or many is no problem. If you're just focusing on one, I would suggest that you move your focus to many, but it's really important to be honest. If you let me know, I read all the comments, so I will take note and I can help you out. I'm always reaching out to the community. I'm there to assist you. So you letting me know, just as I let you know with the markets, I'm completely blunt. If I see something, it doesn't look good, I tell you. I'm not like other channels. I don't sell anything. All I do is try to help you. When we look at Solana, what do you see? I see a fairly flat price. I see a higher high, a lower high, a lower high, a lower high. I see weakness in this chart at the moment. You know that can completely change, but it's really important to just assess things as they are at the moment. Let's have a look at Theta. Theta, we can see, is holding this support quite well. It's obeying the basic markets movement. Let's have a look at Matic Polygon. It's holding this support line. It's behaving as the other alts and Bitcoin are behaving. VET is holding support very well. Aave is still under this resistance here, but holding support. AVAX is holding support, got some fresh air here, and basically obeying the same movements across the industry at the moment. Quant, covered across this resistance, it's at support and seeking to consolidate just around here. When you look at Axie Infinity as a top gainer, it can be easy to overlook the fact that it wobbles around a lot. Up 873%, down 52%, up 245, down 30, up 48%. You've got to be prepared to tolerate these downward spikes. It's really important. But we know Axie Infinity is a top earner. It's generating a lot of revenue. It has really good fundamentals behind it at this present time. Across more than 20 years of trading, I discovered Rule 30, paper profit is fake. When I first started trading, I saw my holdings go up and down. When they were going up, I was so happy. I was counting the dollars. When they went down, I was miserable. I was saying, how could I have not sold at the top? Somebody told me to sell at the top, but I didn't do it. And that's probably some advice you've gotten as well. The really important thing to remember is Rule 30, paper profit is fake. You only make money when you sell. That's why these days I don't even care about the profit on a particular position until the market sends me a signal that I should do some risk-off behavior, some violation in a trend line, or some particular issue that doesn't look good. But it's always the concept, paper is paper, it's fiat, it's fake. Fake profit is fake. If you think like that, it's really good. You may be staying awake thinking about how much money you earn. Remember that the markets have gone up really high, really fast. There have been 8 sessions of positive price momentum. This is really important to understand. When we get these blow-off spikes, they tend to hammer in that a particular move has occurred, like these blow-off spikes to the bottom we call falling knives. Falling knives and raising knives, there are knives everywhere, but just make sure you catch them by the handle. The really important thing to note is that you can always buy in better. The key is patience. When we have large up moves, we have corrective waves that are always occurring. Over time, you will see. You remember back to here, so many people were called into the market by these increasing prices. I know a lot of people that are sitting currently on a lot of loss. People are called into the market at tops. Just beware of this behavior. At this stage, you may not be able to do anything about it. If that's the case, don't worry about it. We know the long-term trend is really good. If you're trading and you have the potential to book some profits, that's what I have done personally. I'm never trying to time a top or a bottom. I just look on the balance of probabilities. I look at the behavior under the hood, and you know how many charts I look at every day, 7 days a week. I'm just giving you this insight to help you out. I hope it helps. I hope you found the content useful. Everything I do for you is free. Please be aware of scammers. And thank you very much to our community moderators who keep the community safe. I so much appreciate your effort. I do these videos to assist you to be more of a financial blessing to yourself and those you love. Let's look at Ethereum. That's always fun. Please say hi and let me know where you're viewing from, and if you have any questions. This is a community-driven channel. I really pay a lot of attention to the comments. I try to get back to people. It's often really difficult, but if I send you a like and a heart, it means thank you so much. You're so important. If I don't, it just means I haven't seen your comment. That's all it means. If you would like twice daily updates, 7 days a week on price movements in the crypto market, please subscribe to YouTube. Join our Facebook and Discord groups, which are 100% free. You can also follow me on Twitter and reach out, direct message me on any platform is great. Crypto is volatile. Always prepare yourself for the best and the worst case scenario. Reality will likely be between them. Stay safe out there. Take care and see you next time. Bye for now.